Hello and welcome to RwandaTV News this first day of June. My name is William Evans, and of course here are the stories making headlines tonight. The Chief of Staff of the Egyptian Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Ahmed Fatih Ibrahim Khalifa, is on a 3-day official visit in Rwanda. Experts in construction say that 60% of the materials needed for building projects in Rwanda are still being imported. While Japanese animation is now booming, a global industry with a Crunchyroll leading its rise. Of course, happy new month. My name is William Evans, and this is RwandaTV News in detail. In Doha, Qatar, Rwanda's Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Ambassador Olivier Nduhungirehe, met on Sunday with Qatar's Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman bin Jassim Al Thani. The two discussed the bilateral relations between Rwanda and Qatar, exploring ways to strengthen and expand cooperation, and they also exchanged views on the ongoing efforts to resolve tensions between Rwanda and Democratic Republic of Congo, along with other key issues of mutual interest to both Rwanda and Qatar partnership. Tomorrow news, the Chief of Staff of the Egyptian Armed Forces, Lieutenant General Ahmed Fatih Ibrahim Khalifa, is on a 3-day official visit in Rwanda. On Sunday morning, he visited the Rwanda Defense Force headquarters in Kigali, where he was received by his counterpart, General M.K. Mubaraka, the RDF Chief of Defense. The visit has formed part of the ongoing efforts to strengthen defense cooperation between the two armed forces, making a significant step in deepening bilateral ties, particularly in the areas of training, health, and other initiatives. Discussions between the two defense chiefs centered on enhancing joint military initiatives, expanding cooperation, and exploring new areas of strategic partnership. The signing of bilateral cooperation agreements between the chiefs of defense of both countries, reaffirming the mutual desire of the two defense forces to establish a long-term and sustainable defense partnership, followed this. Prior to visiting the RDF headquarters, the Egyptian Chief of Staff paid his respect to the victims of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, buried at the Kigali Genocide Memorial. Now, tomorrow news, experts in construction say that 60% of the materials needed for building projects in Rwanda are still being imported. This is happening at a time when, under the country's National Strategy for Transformation Phase 2, the government of Rwanda has committed to reducing reliance on imported construction materials. Across Kigali City, high-rise buildings are springing up every day, and as the skyline rises, so do supporting infrastructure projects. This growth presents opportunities for Rwanda, as the construction sector is one of the largest employers across different social groups. The primary materials used in these projects include sand, stones, cement, and others, and many of which are now being produced locally at an encouraging level. However, on the other hand, major projects and large-scale building in Rwanda still depends heavily on imported materials, with estimates suggesting that up to 60% of the material used in a single building project are sourced from abroad. In general, Rwanda's total imports rose from $3 billion US in 2017 to $6 billion in 2014, with construction materials included in that figure. Currently in Rwanda, there are 38 large-scale construction material manufacturing industries and an addition of 82 small and small-sized ones. In the NSC2 development strategy, the economic pillar includes attracting investors to the industrial and construction sector, aiming to meet domestic demand and reduce imports. Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Dr. Edouard Ngirente, has stressed that among the 4 priority industrial categories, one is focused on the construction materials. Now, despite these challenges, the output from companies producing construction materials has grown significantly from over 200 billion Rwandan francs in 2017 to over 500 billion Rwandan francs in 2024. According to the National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda, the construction sector contributed 12% to the country's gross domestic product during the 2023-2024 fiscal year. Additionally, the 2024 report by the Rwanda Development Board ranked the construction sector sector, second with a contribution of 12.7% among major registered investment projects that provide employment to many Rwandans last year. And now, the 2025 ranking by Financial Times, of course, this is a leading UK-based publication, has placed Rwanda financial service provider Inkomoko 8th among Africa's 130 fastest growing companies between 2022 and 2023, after Inkomoko recorded an impressive 211.2% revenue growth over the 3-year period. We do have details. According to the Financial Times, Inkomoko is the only Rwandan company featured on the list, recording an impressive 211.2% revenue growth over the 3 years period. The report shows that by 2023, Inkomoko had generated $3.99 million US, up just from $160,000 US in 2020. The company also significantly expanded its workforce from 25 employees in 2020 to 130 in 2023. Emmanuel Mugabo, who is the managing director of Inkomoko, says the institution has issued loans to over 100,000 entrepreneurs across 5 countries, including Rwanda, with loan amounts ranging between 150 Rwandan francs and 70 million Rwandan francs.
We work with micro and small entrepreneurs, and we support them with skills to run and grow their businesses, and also financing. In terms of the challenges that we address, one is skills, basically entrepreneurship or business skills, and this is around the ability to run and also scale or grow the business. Some of the areas are aspects like financial management, aspects like sales and marketing, and even the operation itself. So these are some of like the areas that we address, and as I said, access to finance, being able to access financing for these businesses. Do direct investment into these businesses, or in terms of loans, to measure the impact of the work that we do. And some of the areas, one is around livelihood. In terms of the measurements that we do, we look at how we're moving people out of the poverty line. The global poverty line is $2.15. So we look at how people are moving above that line. That's one. We look at the growth in the revenues for their businesses, but also how they are creating jobs. So these are things that we track.
Founded in Rwanda in 2012, Inkomoko provides technology-driven financial services and insurance products. With interest rates at 10%, repayable over 6 months to 3 years, the company has disbursed over 42 billion Rwandan francs, supporting small and medium-sized enterprises and impacting the lives of more than 1.2 million people. Entrepreneur Siragura Aime received 2 loans from Inkomoko, which he says helped him grow his business. He shares his success story alongside Mubera Rugo Yvonne, another Kigali-based entrepreneur supported by the institution.
Inkomoko helped me boost my business through a loan I got. Secondly, they have taught me how to make profit out of the loans they offer. Let me also add that they have low interest rates compared to other financial institutions. I'm positive with the lessons they have given me on financial literacy, and I will achieve a lot more.
The money I got from them, I used it to buy ovens and mixers that I am now using. My plan is to expand. I got the loans while operating in Chimirongo, but now I have a branch here at Gasaraba. I plan to expand my business and get more motorcycles to do deliveries. By 2030, Inkomoko aims to support at least 550,000 entrepreneurs and invest 200 billion Rwandan francs with the goal of improving the lives of over 7.6 million people. Currently, Inkomoko operates in 5 countries: Rwanda, Kenya, Ethiopia, South Africa, and Chad. Now, Rwandans living in the United States have observed that gathering and socializing is one of the pillars of strengthening unity among Rwandans. And this comes as Rwandans living in the US, as well as others traveling from Rwanda and different countries, prepare to convene in Texas for the Rwanda Convention 2025. The three-day event will take place from July 4th to 6th and will also be attended by both public and private institutions from Rwanda, which will be showcasing their services and projects to Rwandans living in America. The event will conclude with a prayer breakfast, bringing together participants in a moment of spiritual reflection. Rwanda Convention 2025 is expected to be a major gathering that will connect investors, artists, youth, leaders, and development partners in a collective effort to contribute to the advancement of Rwanda. To more news, the National Industrial Research and Development Agency, NILDA, is preparing to release 4 plant-based medicines and a food-grade yeast product into the market. These medicines are expected to significantly benefit people who have been using medical plants without proper knowledge or guidance. The plants used include aloe vera, which many rely on, but often without knowing the correct dosage or proper usage. Now, the product includes a healing ointment for various ailments, a cough syrup, and 2 others. NILDA states that both the medicines and the yeast were developed with advanced research and met high-quality standards. These products are expected to enter the market at the beginning of next year, following the issuance of other authorization by the Rwanda FDA. NILDA notes that Rwanda spends large sums annually importing yeast, where in 2024 alone, the country spent over 30 billion Rwandan francs on imported yeast. Currently, a single brewery in Rwanda consumes an average of 1.4 tons of yeast. Now, in Musanze district, tree planting has begun in the area designated for expansion of volcano national parks. The project is expected to last 3 years. The first 200 trees have already been planted at the base of Mountain Sabyinyo, where the park will be expanded. These trees, the trees being planted are species known to be favored by wildlife in Volcano National Park. These tree species are being grown in large quantities to ensure there will be enough seedlings for the entire area. Across the 12 sectors surrounding the park, a total of 500 hectares are to be reforested over the next 3 years. This project will not only promote conservation, but also improve the livelihoods of the nearby communities, and it is expected that this tree planting effort will provide permanent jobs to over 300 young people living near the park, and locals have been urged to take full advantage of the opportunities being provided. The entire tree planting is estimated to cost 1 billion Rwandan francs. Now, Rwanda is earning continental recognition for its inclusive approach to financial services, driven by a progressive regulatory framework that fosters both innovation and equity. In an exclusive interview with RBA's Adams Kwizera, the central bank governor Solaya Hakuziyaremye emphasized that Rwanda's push for digital financial solutions goes beyond technology. It is about expanding access and empowering underserved communities. Adams Kwizera.
So this summit of the Financial Alliance for Women is the first time it's taking place in Africa, and it was an opportunity for us as Rwanda to launch the Women Entrepreneurs Finance Code. This has been signed by 11 banks in Rwanda, but also the National Bank of Rwanda as regulator, the Ministry of Trade and Industry as policymaker, and then Access to Finance Rwanda as development partner. And our goal here is, one, to learn from our peers from different countries. We have close to 59 countries. What have been the best practices for each country to be able to increase funding for women entrepreneurs, but also to close the gender gap in terms of access to credit that we see between women-owned enterprises and women-owned and men-owned enterprises. World Bank estimates that the gender gap in access to finance is close to $6 trillion. And if that gap was closed, that's how much the global GDP would gain. And we've applied that same ratio to Rwanda and said, if we were to increase finance to women entrepreneurs and close the gap that we still see even in our country, we could add up to $700 million to our GDP. That's 5%. And so that's going to become our target. How do we make sure that our banks increase loans to women-owned enterprises? And how do we track that those increased loans are actually generating measurable economic gains? So as National Bank of Rwanda, true, our core mandate is price stability and financial system stability. But we've also realized that financial stability cannot only be the only goal. We have to make sure that financial services are accessed by all Rwandans. And we've put in place a dedicated directorate for financial inclusion. Second, the measuring of financial exclusion rates has been fundamental through the FinScope survey, where we participate with Access to Finance Rwanda, Ministry of Finance, and the National Institute of Statistics. And this has allowed the government to put in place targeted interventions, starting with the first FinScope survey of 2008, which showed that only 21% of Rwandans had a bank account. Then that's where Umurenge circles started. Then, of course, the main revolution has been mobile money and increase of digital financial services. So our role as NBR has been, one, to put in place a conducive regulatory environment for microfinance, but also payment system providers, including mobile money operators. Second is intervention to support fintech in our country. Third, financial literacy and digital literacy with programs for women, especially women in rural areas. 2 years ago, we started a program to educate and onboard women in rural areas that do not have access to mobile money services. So far, in 4 districts, Nyamasheke, Nyaruguru, Ngoma, and Rulindo, we have trained 25,000 women and onboarded 5,000 women who had never used mobile money services. And collaboration with mobile network operators, local authorities has been instrumental, and I think that's something we're going to keep working on. So we've heard it best from Her Excellency the First Lady. We have now, in Rwanda, 6 women CEOs in the banking sector, 5 CEOs in the insurance sectors, and leading really the large insurance and banking companies, as well as in microfinance. And as a woman, of course, you cannot be blind to challenges or obstacles that women still face in access to finance. And we don't say it because we are women. There's large evidence to prove that point. And so our commitment is to be our sisters' keepers. As much as we manage those institutions, and the central bank is the same, is the commitment to make sure that we don't have inequality in terms of access to finance in our country. And you asked on the continent, it's true, we only have 3 women central bank governors. There's still progress to do because we have close to 54 central banks on the continent. But I think whether you're a male or female governor, one of your responsibilities is to build sustainable and stable economies and financial systems. And they cannot be sustainable if you're excluding 50% of your population. So I think it's a commitment that any governor of a central bank would have to work on, being a woman or a man.
Is the governor of the National Bank of Rwanda on Rwanda's inclusive approach to financial services. Now, to more news, some elderly residents in Kigali City said that regular physical exercise has been key in helping them combat non-communicable diseases common in old age. These belong to our wellness club, doing exercises at least thrice for 11 years now. We do have a report.
It has now become routine for Kigali City to host a car-free day on the first and third Sunday of every month, drawing participants from all walks of life, young and old alike. This Sunday's event included a large number of elderly participants aged between 50 and 80 years. These say the main goal for this group is to use physical exercise as a weapon against age-related illness. This has helped me a lot. I joined when I wasn't physically fit, especially my legs and arms, but now both work well and I can move and exercise too, yet I am 77 years old. Among the changes I experienced is that I felt my body changing for the better. I used to try walking and once in a while exercising, but not so often. But now our club is making 11 years of frequent exercising, at least thrice a week. The founder of this club says that it has grown beyond just sports, with members now also engaged in mental wellness activities and receive nutrition education to help them improve their overall health. We started this club as a platform of awareness, especially for those hitting old age, to exercise. For everyone that has been part of this journey, they have benefited greatly. Part of the causes of the diseases is stress. So, when we meet, we discuss good nutrition and how to eat healthy and also keep fit. Martin Urgeni, the Vice Mayor of the City of Kigali in charge of social affairs and economic development, is encouraging more elderly citizens to stay active and look after their health through sports. Not exercising has several consequences, including getting diseases like high blood pressure. So, this is a good reminder, especially to the elderly, to participate actively in doing exercises, just like the rest of the people you've seen in this club, where some above 8 years, meaning sports are not limited by age. Sports is life. During this Sunday's session, Club Ngwino Nawe organized special competitions for the senior citizens, where participants started from BK Arena, brisk walking towards the open space near the Kigali Convention Center. Winners and participants were awarded medals in recognition of their effort and commitment to healthy living.
Laying hooks. Giving away. Making moves. Breakfast with family. Inyanje is always there. Whatever the occasion, whatever the moment, always ask for Inyanje.
Nyiri muto arababwiraga data bati ntabwo wagira umukamo mwinshi utunze inka imwe, ariko nigeze acika intege. Mama akinjira mu bucuruzi hari abamubwiraga bati ntabwo watera imbere udakorera mu iduka rigezweho, ariko ntibyamusubije inyuma, yakoranaga umwete. Njya muri kaminuza hari abanshidikanyagaho bavuga ko ntashobora kaminuza naturuka mu muryango wifashije, ariko byarangiye nanditse amateka mashya. Igihe cyo gutera ishema umuryango wanjye kigeze, bamwe bakomeje kumbwira bati ntabwo watera umuryango wawe ibyishimo n'ishema, ariko narabishoboye. Hari abakekaga ko nasigira umurage ukomeye abankomokaho, ariko ubu mfite uruganda rutunganya amata. Banki ya Kigali yabaye umufatanyabikorwa wanjye mu rugendo rwose, inzozi zanjye ziba impamo. Bigereho.
Welcome back from that very short break. Now, anime or Japanese animation is now booming a global industry, with Crunchyroll leading its rise. The platform has grown to over 17 million subscribers in 200 countries, BBC reports.
Anime, or Japanese animation, is no niche. In fact, it's one of the fastest growing entertainment sectors. And at the centre of it all is Crunchyroll, a streaming platform that started from nothing to become a global empire with 17 million subscribers across 200 countries.
Crunchyroll is a media and entertainment company focused on bringing Japanese anime to audiences worldwide. There's about 1.5 billion anime viewers or anime curious fans around the world outside of China and Japan. So it's a pretty big market, and we are honored to be able to serve those audience across their fandom.
Crunchyroll works like any other streaming service, mixing up in-house programs and cutting deals to bring others to the platform with an impressive pace.
Majority of our content we license from creative partners in Japan. So producers, creators, artists in Japan create shows. We subtitle them into many languages within an hour after Japanese broadcast. And then we also dub it into about 10 different languages.
Right now, Crunchyroll's biggest hit is probably Solo Leveling, an anime which incorporates elements of video games, particularly the idea of, as the name suggests, leveling up.
For all of these fans that have grown up in games, that know all the trends and themes, when they see them within a narrative story, it is attractive. So Solo Leveling is a great example. This is a show that we brought last year in January to our fans. It was a big hit, was a #1 show on the platform in most of the regions we were in. And this year in January, we released season 2, and it has broken all records.
I said, Arc Raptor, that anime keeps getting bigger, and the growth of animation means Crunchyroll isn't the only player in town. With such a big market, other streaming services like Netflix have inevitably gotten involved.
Streaming platforms have definitely contributed towards the growth of anime abroad. Recently, in the last 2 years or so, the Association of Japanese Animation say that the overseas anime market has just overtaken the domestic anime market. Crunchyroll control probably about 75% of all of the anime titles that are aired in Japan today. That leaves the remaining quarter for all of the other streaming platforms.
Perhaps the biggest anime to come out of Netflix in the past year is Delicious in Dungeon, which sees adventurers set out on expeditions whilst eating the monsters they defeat.
That show was made in Japan, right? And then Netflix got the license for it. Was that a show, for example, that you yourselves were trying to get? Were you negotiating to try and get it onto Crunchyroll, but Netflix swooped in?
Yeah, like there's almost 300 shows made in Japan every year, and we want to get as much of that content exclusively on our service.
It's almost to somebody who's not in that world, it almost sounds a bit like a football club, you know? And they're trying to sign a player from overseas.
You're right, it is somewhat similar.
But it's not just TV that Crunchyroll's involved in. The anime giant's behind half the top 20 anime films in US box office history, including 3 Demon Slayer flicks and a 4th coming later this year.
Demon Slayer unseated the worldwide box office numbers for the most successful anime film ever, and that was Studio Ghibli's Spirited Away. It held on to that title for over 20 years until Demon Slayer Mugen Train came out in theaters.
For our fans, this is a lifestyle. If they want to collect merchandise or figures, play a game that's based on their favorite anime show, watch a movie with friends and family on a big screen, we make all of that available.
Report, we come to the end of tonight's bulletin. My name is William Evans. Have a good night and good luck.